Gondor has dispatched two mighty armies with the support of the dwarfs with the hopes of destroying the forces of Dunland once and for all and weakening Sauron's power in the area. Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another epic siege battle for Rise of Mordor. We're actually going to go ahead and pause it just because there's a little bit of action going off and I don't want to miss any of it. Yeah, welcome back. So we're going to be having another epic online battle, 3 vs 3. Today we have the forces of Dwarves, Gondor and the Dwarves going up against two armies from Dunland and an army from Isengard. So it should be a very, very exciting battle. As well as that, we are using a handful of mods, one of them being the unit expansion mod, which basically just adds in a handful of new units for a few factions to go ahead and give them a bit more variety. I think the dwarfs benefit from this mod a lot. They have a ton more of these kind of like militia looking units, as well as their more elite infantry, as they all push forward this big selection of battering rams. And obviously we've got Dwarves as well, who again benefit pretty heavily from this sub mod. You can see the amazing looking Talon Knights right here. They look so goddamn clean, and yeah, it's a really nice work by the modder to kind of stitch these guys together. So the siege battle is going to be very exciting. You can see right off the bat, I guess we can take a look at this. We do actually have a bit of a vanguard deploy with the tribal youths, which have kind of sallied out to go ahead and try their best to disrupt the Gondorian formation. However, Dwarves are going to come flying in with their cavalry, hitting them hard. You can see another charge about to go off. However, they are taking severe casualties from these javelin men. I mean, I imagine, yeah, you can see they've been absolutely smashed, but whilst they're engaging these units, they're also taking a lot of javelin fire, and I mean, this is obviously very risky by the Dunland player. However, these units are dirt cheap, right? So the fact that they're kind of trading 4 units of javelins for some cheap, or for some really expensive cavalry, it's not necessarily awful. I mean, for the most part, this unit of Seaward Spears are going to kind of make their way out pretty unscathed. But the other unit, yeah, this entire Talon Knight Swan unit is going to be completely demolished. And I imagine that is going to affect them pretty heavily as the battle goes on, because obviously this is a siege battle, which isn't great to use cavalry. However, it can still be extremely effective, and to lose that at the beginning of the battle, you know, can be quite detrimental. So we'll have to see if maybe Dunland and Isengard try something a little bit cheeky with some cavalry, and that Dwarves maybe won't be able to necessarily be able to repel, as we see some artillery shots going off. So the settlement itself is pretty well defended. You obviously have a nice position over on this right hand side as you go back, kind of multiple layers of defense as the defenders get pushed further and further back. And then they kind of have this final stand up here, only 3 ways in, really good missile position. Like, this position right here is probably one of the best in any siege battle, because as the enemy funnel in through this path right here, the crossbows can just unload on them, taking down swathes of enemies with ease. So they're going to have to try and do something about that. And it's very hard to kind of take this out unless you have some like really good archers which can volley over and hit them hard. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Obviously, the battle is very much still about to commence, and you know, they haven't even managed to take the walls yet. So who knows if they'll even make it to the inner layer. There is also this interesting path right here, which is completely undefended. So maybe some cheeky cavalry could make their way through here and help out at the walls themselves. So for the most part, it does seem like the youths are pretty much taken care of. However, that was a huge cost to the cavalry, basically giving up 2 whole cavalry units for Dwarves. That's deadly. That's a very good exchange for the defenders. Here are some more of the infantry for Dwarves as well. You can see these guys right here. They look very cool. I mean, I think these are like the trained medium tier infantry. And I'm sure we'll see a bunch more other defenders. And then for like the Uruk-hai and Dwarves, sorry, not Dwarves, for Dunland, they're going to be set up in a pretty nice formation. I think Isengard are going to be holding this right-hand side. As the enemy do start to make their first approach, the dwarfs have landed on the walls, and Isengard aren't looking to completely defend them off of the breaches. They're going to be using their arrow volleys to break up the defenses and the shield walls to soften up their opponents before throwing in their Uruk-hai. And you're actually seeing some of the Mordor rabble right here as well, helping out some of the orcs that have been spawned and brought into battle. And basically down the entire way, holy crap, yeah, the assault is going on. There are a lot of siege towers in this battle. And this is actually a really smart thing to do when you are trying to take parts of a wall and the defenders are trying to defend them, is to put down your siege towers like this. Because instead of forming like these pockets trying to take the walls, you kind of form this big long line pushing out, and it becomes a lot more sturdy. You'll see it, like these lines are already starting to commence as more infantry comes flying off of these siege towers. You'll see this unit of Gondor sword infantry and also the Ringlow Vale infantry kind of form up this nice contingent battle line. The Dogs of War, though, have now been charged in to battle, and they're going to be nipping at the heels of the Gondorian infantry as they take them down bit by bit. I'm surprised that no breaches over here have been, no assaults have come in through this breach. Dolmroth are making their way up very close to putting down their siege towers, but for the most part, the main part of the fighting will be over here. Ooh, this is, wow, I really hope they take this down. Do they have any artillery left? Yeah, this artillery 100% should be making this breach. Oh man, I don't think they've seen it. I don't think they've seen that this wall is damaged, because I don't think anything else shooting it. One hit here would make a perfect breach. They could run up here and, completely assault the rest of the infantry moving up. We have a large portion of the Dwarven force here as well. So it kind of seems like in this battle that the Dwarves and Gondor are working together, and Dolmroth are kind of on their own flank, pushing forward. However, it's very important that Dolmroth does well, because if you take a look at this path right here, it goes all the way around the side and into the rear of the camp right here. So when the other two factions, if they get this far, are pushing into these final two layers, there is only one way in to get through this rear entrance, and you honestly want to be attacking from every single side. So it's very important that Dolmroth can break this. So it's going to be up to them, and they're doing a pretty good job. They've got some Heaven's Guard infantry. These guys seem crazy. Dual wielding, or not dual wielding, but wielding a greatsword, two-handed weapon. Pushing forward onto the Elder Guard. The Elder Guard? Elder Spearmen. And more infantry breaking off. I love how all the sun glints off of the shields of the Dolmroth infantry. And they are breaking through. I imagine obviously Dunland have plenty more men to send, and it looks like they're already starting to outflank their opponents. But more siege towers are making their way up. How is the assault going? Pretty well, actually. By the looks of it, Gondor and the Dwarves have broken the defenders on the walls fairly easily here. We're just cleaning up some of the enemy dogs right now, and the handlers. And they should have this entire area completely overrun, which is very good for them. However, we are getting some missile fire from back here. More of the Mordor bow rabble. Again, these guys are so cheap that you just want them in your army. Because, even if they don't do a lot of damage, they still shoot 260 arrows. One of them is bound to find their mark. So even though they suck, it's very good just to be pouring arrows into your opponents. It really is. The Dwarves are breaking through pretty nicely. And also, something that you guys may not have noticed if you haven't seen one of my recent battles is that the Dwarven weapons have been changed up a little bit as well. They look really cool now. I'm a big fan of these Dwarven axes. Infantry have been pushed through the gate now, looking to get just kind of breach this. And oh, by the looks of it, yeah, we are. We're having a massive retreat, and this is a voluntary retreat right here. Seeming that they can't hold every single side, they're going to be falling back to this one choke point. And this is a really smart move by them. I really like it when players do this, when they don't just say, oh, well, my infantry is engaged, I'm going to let it fight to the end. They're actually going to be pulling back a large portion of their gate defense, realizing that all hope is lost, and I mean, that's definitely the more sensible thing to do. And now they're going to be getting artillery bombardments coming in to go ahead and support the assault. Yeah, this is a really good move here by the defenders, pulling back some valuable infantry, and this could make the difference between winning and losing later on in the battle. The dogs are still causing these Gondorian infantry issues. They should really just kind of leave the Ringlow Vale men to deal with them and then send forth the Gondorian sword infantry elsewhere. Dolmroth, is this Dolmroth or is it Gondor? Yeah, Dolmroth have sent forward more infantry as well up through the breach, trying their best to assault it, clearing out the defenders, and it seems like it is lightly defended. These are the youths that did so much damage to the heavily knights, and they're just going to rip right through them and carry on going, I imagine, into the rear of these elder spearmen. to go ahead and help out the rest of their infantry. We do have some Talon Knights right here who have got onto some archers. This is really valuable because in a siege battle, archers are everything, right? Especially in a battle where you have such a good defensive position up on that hill. You know, you want to have as many archers back there. So the fact that the Dorp infantry have got in there is very good. Every less bowman there is going to be very beneficial. You've got a very good position right here as well with the bowman shooting down on the spearmen. It's pretty painful for them. They've smashed down the gate. I'm surprised we're not running through it, but at the moment they're just a sitting duck for this arrow fire. And you can see that arrow fire is doing a lot of damage to them as well. Speaking of arrow fire, though, there's more of it coming in. Oh, and there's also a general unit moving up here. Cavalry can be so deadly in this game if not careful, so I'm actually going to stick with this cavalry unit because they can do so much damage if they come across unbraced infantry. And it looks like there's some Dwarf infantry there, but instead we're going to decide to go for this unbraced unit of Ringlow Vale swordsmen who get counter-charged and just completely wiped away. They need to form a shield wall or something, or just stand still for a second so they can brace and get ready to repel that charge. You can see their numbers going down dramatically, losing over half their unit. And now another rear charge into these sides of this infantry. You can see that this infantry definitely received a lot less damage because they were stationary, even though it was in their flank. They only lost about 10, 15 men, about 20 men in total, because they were stationary. You can see the difference between them. But now this unit just doesn't have enough numbers. They're being shot by missiles. The cavalry is just going to rip them away. So a really nice maneuver right there by the cavalry. And I guess this really goes to show that if Dorp maybe had their cavalry still alive, they would have been able to repel this. And once again, they're charging the cavalry. All you need to do is just brace against it. And yeah, you don't take no casualties, but you definitely kill a lot more of them as they try and repel out. Because one of the really big strengths of cavalry in this mod is that it knocks people down so that they can't strike back and they trample on the dead. But if you're braced, it only knocks down like 1 or 2 ranks. And then when the cavalry tries to pull out, you've got the other ranks who are still standing, just hitting away at them and dealing some pretty serious damage. We are now, however, getting the extra cavalry coming in, though what remains of their Talon Knights are going to be pushing in just once to help out, you know, in this battle, but also, I guess, to try and warn off the champion Reavers of Dunland. Oh, looking back over on this side, it seems like that the forces of good are breaking through pretty heavily on all of these positions. The Dwarves are doing a pretty nice job here. However, yeah, you do have the champion Reavers maneuvering up here. They need to be more careful about cavalry. But the Dwarves are breaking through, even their militia, proving themselves mighty warriors against these Uruk-hai scouts. Oh my god, look at the size difference. Man, imagine when we add in like a halfling army to this game. How hilarious that would be. Just throwing their rocks with their sticks. Gonna be mighty. We have some Gondorian militia routing, but we also have the majority of Uruk-hai breaking here. And we also have the more champion Reavers, actually. But they managed to clear out this left flank after that cavalry charge, and now they're bringing in more crossbows. And these crossbows are hopefully going to be able to just soften up what remains back. I mean, you already see right here, this unit of Uruk pikes have been yeah, pretty heavily damaged by the crossbow fire, losing 70 Uruks so far. So the attackers are making good progress everywhere by the looks of it. Numbers-wise, what we're seeing. So actually, there's only about 300 unit difference in this battle. It started off at 2,000, so the attackers have definitely taken heavy casualties. But a lot of the time, this number can be pretty deceiving. Actually, sorry, the defenders had 9,000 men. But obviously, the number is very deceiving because the Uruk-hai and Mordor have a lot more in their units. As well as that, the defenders have a lot more archers. So if the attackers can just get into combat with the archers, that's a huge advantage going away. So the defenders are actually, I mean, the attackers are actually doing a great job at nullifying their numbers, and they're catching up pretty quickly. You know, they're almost equal for numbers, only about 100, 200 men left in it, and they're breaking away on this left flank as well. The main fighting, though, is heavily over here. Now, as you can see, we have a unit of Dunherd swordsmen bravely fighting, completely surrounded, and there's even some Citadel goddamn guard up here. And I feel like the Citadel Guard are very much the best unit Gondor has at their disposal. It's so tanky, and it does do a surprising amount of damage. Unfortunately, the Fountain Guard just don't quite cut it. I think they need to maybe add like a Sword and Shield Fountain Guard unit or something. Because that pike, I don't know, the pikes just don't seem very good. Considering they are Fountain Guard after all. I understand that they should be like a pike unit, but also I think that maybe a few different variants would be very cool. Also, if you guys notice any cool animations going on in this battlefield, we are using the Rise to Glory mod, which adds in a ton of cool custom animations. I think they're most noticeable when it comes to two-handed sword infantry. You see a ton more animations when you watch them. So I'll try and find some if there are any moving around here. Yeah, you have some of these spearmen on this right flank, and all very nice. We're actually having a unit of Dunhurst swordsmen charging down. And this is a really nice strategy, because what will happen now is that some of these stragglers will start hitting around these guys. So it's actually a good idea to kind of form this this jagged battle line, because not only are you hitting these spearmen, you're also holding the front line and you're fighting downhill. So a very nice move there to kind of put the enemy on the back foot. One of the things that isn't looking too good for Darmroth is their lack of ammunition. They are really suffering for arrows right now. But they are breaking this point, so we're able to get the rest of their infantry in. And the rest of the attackers are continuing to move in, but there's a lot of artillery fire bombarding. And I think they're directly trying to hit this Citadel Guard unit as much as they can. You know, it's actually a direct hit right there on the Dwarves. That's brutal. As the Uruk pikes move up. And I love the look of the Uruk pikes. Just like their weapon looks so good. It really reminds me of Helm's Deep, where that elf gets knocked off of the walls and like flies onto the Uruk pikes beneath. It just really reminds me of it, and that's awesome. With the artillery going on in the distance, and about arrow fire as well scattered in. Finding their mark a lot of the time. I mean, how many kills does this artillery have? I mean, how many kills does these archers have? Only 34 so far, but I imagine that number will constantly increase as the attackers get closer and closer. And if we take a look at the numbers, yeah, there you go. The attackers have gone ahead and brought it to have the advantage. Only by a couple, but the attackers are making great progress, and they're nullifying the huge number differentiation that they had. Now you can see some of the close quarter fighting going on right now with their hook swords. Probably not the most historical way of a sword. But I mean, I guess these swords would be good at gripping away at soldiers' shields, I guess. Even though it kind of feels a bit too long for that. Maybe it's a good thing for like going over the shield and hooking in someone's shoulder. Obviously, a large portion of the Dunland roster is going to be kind of inspired by Isengard. Isengard have provided them with a lot of resources as they move their archers closer and closer. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting kind of battle on this part, because as I said, it's so important they can get infantry through this lane right here. Because if they fail, then this assault won't really be successful, I don't think. And now Gondor have broken through the centre. That's going to leave them very vulnerable to these crossbows. You kind of need like archers to break these guys down. Just like long range, like whoever it is, Gondor bowmen. Or like the rangers, the Aphelion rangers, who can like arc their shots to kind of take out these positions. Because right now the crossbows are just going to be having a field day. You can already see them taking out a large portion of these bowmen down here. And their numbers are going to drop. We do have the Dwarven General though, and I always love to see what the Dwarven Generals are up to. Oh, you can also see their tinted armour as well. They've obviously been in Valrock or Fally, getting their armour tinted and not being scammed, so they are ready for battle, looking fresh as well. So I think all the elite Dwarven units have this golden tint to them, and it's very cool. There just seems to be so much arrow fire coming in on the attackers. And they're kind of struggling, I think. But nonetheless, their infantry is going to pour in. Trying to make any dent they can. But yeah, as I said, volley after volley after volley of missiles. Artillery is bombarding. It's nice to see, though, that they still have a bunch of Aphelion Rangers back here. As I said, they'd probably be better suited in this position right here so they could start taking away at the missiles. That's really what's most important. Is like, If you could kill these units of crossbows, that would be huge. On the far right flank as well, they are making progress. This is going to be the unit that breaks, and that's going to allow them to push through their infantry, round the side, and envelop the Elder Spearmen, holding their line. Because the Elder Spearmen are super tanky. But if they can break off this Dunherd Swordsman unit and then come around the side and envelop them, then that will definitely take them out as well. Fighting over here, pretty stagnant to be honest with the Seaward Sword infantry. The Elder Spearmen are just the strongest unit that they probably have at their disposal in Dunland. And now there's more reinforcements moving up as well. So this is a very kind of stacked defense on this side. They also have these bowmen as well, who just have the perfect vision to shoot over the top of the fighting. A really, really effective unit. The gates have fallen? Where the hell is that? It's a bit late. Oh, it's just some Dwarven militia out here, defending bravely and taking the game. I don't really know why they've taken it, but I guess why not, right? If you can, why the hell not? The arrow fire, man, is just coming in and slaughtering these bowmen. This is so deadly right now. I just feel like the attackers don't have enough men, because what would be amazing right now if what they could do is, whilst this is going on, sending a bigger contingent of infantry round the side to, you know, help out these positions. That's what the cavalry could be doing right now. But unfortunately, the attackers are just struggling to kind of have enough men to do that. And they're losing men on the front line very fast just because of the crossbow fire coming in. Yeah, they really do need more men in here. And what general was that? Was that the Dwarven general? Was it this general? Oh yeah, it was the Dwarven general. I guess being slain by an arrow. Cowardly way to go. You guys can see what I mean though by just how strong this settlement is, if not like dealt perfectly. They even needed more men, I think. But I mean, the battle's definitely not over. Ban's power is still pretty even. But the man advantage is now going back in favour of the defenders. And at this point in the battle, that is definitely not what you want to see. However, they are making a pretty nice dent in the attackers right here, or the defenders right here. If they can maybe push through this, you know, then go ahead and hit the rear of this, and then that would help Darmroth come through. That could be pretty important. We do actually have some Dunherd swordsmen moving over though. And look at that archer via fire arrows right there. Man. Oh, we got to see some of the Talon Knights in action as well. Or the Heaven's Guard even. You can see some of the really cool custom animations here. As they break away these rabble of archers. And then they can hopefully just outflank these Elder Spears and slaughter them. Oh, you have some cavalry moving over though. Oh, Dunland have pushed their cavalry outside of the settlement. And I'm going to be charging in. This could be devastating, honestly. They're just going to knock these siege engineers down like they're non-existent. And if they can break through and get onto these archers, that's going to be so big. Because at this point in the battle, Darmroth need every single archer they can get. And they're going to go straight through on this battle and just hit them into the rear. Luckily not killing too many of them, I imagine, because they're in loose formation and the infantry managed to absorb a bit of a charge. Yeah, the infantry managed to do a pretty decent job at just kind of repelling them, and now they can form up and hopefully defend them. It seems like there's some Citadel Guard defending this area, so the cavalry is kind of stopped, but they need to be very, very careful there, because if any cavalry can get through here, all these archers are dead. I mean, honestly, if they can maybe try and take this gate, if they should just come through the gate, honestly, and then they could kill all of these archers, and that would be catastrophic for the attackers. I mean, it's just arrow after arrow after arrow coming in. I mean, how many kills do these bowmen have? Only 74, 87. It's not actually that many kills. However, it adds up. 225 on these guys and the crossbowmen. And they've barely shot. They've shot like half their volleys. The artillery coming in as well. It adds up, definitely. Especially when they can still fight in melee as well. And they've already got 200 kills. Oh, the cavalry! The cavalry managed to find this unit all by itself. I guess it must have been moving or just charged from two sides at once. And the Ringlow Vale men-at-arms are going to be getting slaughtered. Luckily, these guys are still in shield wall, though. They were moving, so I don't think they got their brace bonus. They managed to repel these guys a lot more. And, I mean, this cavalry is taking damage, but not really. This cavalry has probably just, like, demolished their opponents. How many kills are they on? 100, almost 200 there, and 300 on the other one. Yeah, that cavalry has put in work this battle. And that's what, like I was saying at the beginning of the battle, maybe if them Swan Knights were still alive, they would have been able to deal with this cavalry, and they would have had an extra 1,000 men left in the battle, you know. So, even though it kind of seems like not that important, that sally forward early on was actually huge. And now I think the attackers are going to be in a tricky situation to keep on breaking through. And these archers are even sallying out now as well. Go ahead and reinforce. I just don't really have anything here. Oh, there's a unit of berserkers over here, I think. Yeah, that's the symbol. They are being hammered by archer fire. But they managed to break this unit of Erebor crossbowmen. They're cutting down... Oh, that was a brutal one. They are cutting down these routing dwarfs. And I imagine we're going to keep on going. They're under heavy crossbow fire themselves. They're going to go flying forward. We actually get on board with them. Why not? And that's not something you want to see. A berserker charging towards you. You can see they're just making quick work of these crossbowmen. Yeah, they're going to be routing very soon. And honestly, I just don't really see what more the attackers can do. I just think they've run out of steam now. Dormroth still have a decent contingent left, but that's literally about it. And there's still like a handful of missiles left as well for the attackers, for the defenders, so they can just continue. Yeah, I just don't see a way that the attackers can win this. However, they have managed to break this right-hand side, so if they can continue to push out, that'd be nice. But just another unit has come to plug the gap, so let's go ahead and jump ahead towards the like 5 minutes or something and see how the battle does devolve, because at the moment I'm just not seeing a way that they can break through here. It doesn't seem like much has changed in the battle since we last looked. The attackers have bravely gone in, but they're just running out of soldiers. Berserkers are clashing into the rear of the infantry, and I think at this point there is no retreat, and they're going to be massacred here on the battlefield today. There's even some cavalry still roaming around the battlefield. The numbers are looking awful for them. Yeah, only 700 of them still left remaining. It's probably mainly going to be this elite Citadel Guard who are bravely fighting on, but I feel like it's folly now. They'd be better off just fleeing for their lives rather than giving up their lives in this battle. Oh, one of the generals has gone down though. Probably this one right here. Yeah, he's probably been slain. Which is, I mean, to be expected. That cavalry did so much goddamn damage. And we have some pikes fighting out here. The Citadel Guard have managed to maneuver around the flank, though. We can probably just triple speed past most of this, to be honest, because there's obviously the battle is over, and there is no way for them to come back whatsoever. But overall, it was a really, really fun fight. I love the battle for the walls. It was really exciting, and especially that sally out as well at the beginning. You know, really paved the way for the Dunland cavalry to actually do some work. And normally, you know, it's Gondor or Dunroth who are known for their heavy cavalry, but today it was the Dunland cavalry that proved its worth and got a ton of kills. Here we have it, the last stand of the brave Citadel Guard. They will be remembered throughout history as they give their lives here. However, it is over. The battle has been lost, and the forces of Isengard will reign supreme this day. So let's take a look at the kills, because I'm really interested to see how many kills that cavalry got in the end. For Isengard, it was mainly just their berserkers racking up a ton of kills, and these crossbows with 300. That's pretty damning right there. And they actually did survive. They had 900 Uruks left remaining at the end of the battle. Yeah, there you go. 400 kills on that one and 400 kills on this one. Absolutely deadly. Over on Gondor's side of things, we do have their bowmen doing a pretty nice job, and some swords with 300 kills as well. The dwarfs and their crossbows proving pretty deadly. You got some axemen with 200 kills as well. And then finally for Darmroth, oh wow, you have this Heaven Guard unit with 600 kills. That is wild. That is crazy. But if you guys enjoyed this battle, be sure to drop a like and a comment. If you want to see more, obviously let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.